I love the Nintendo DS. It shouldn't be a surprise that the DS is my favorite video game platform ever made, but to be fair, you don't really know me. I've been a lifelong fan of the DS ever since the moment it was officially announced at E3 2004. When Reggie Fils-Aimé held it up in his hands at that Nintendo press conference, there was a lot to be surprised by. The silver finish, the clamshell design, the buttons, the smooth 3D graphics, and mainly the two screens, specifically the significance of the bottom screen. But this actually wasn't when I got to really know the DS. That would happen on November 21st, 2004 was a Sunday, back when all the Nintendo releases used to happen. Younger 11-year-old me was lounging and watching TV, channel surfing a bit to find something fun to watch. The house had just gotten a cable hookup, and all these new channels were at my fingertips, waiting to be watched with the press of a remote. I already found G4 by some stroke of luck, and as it turns out, a 24/7 gaming channel was like crack to a kid like me, already obsessed with video games. On that day, it was G4's special Nintendo DS Day broadcast. They aired their programming with a dual screen approach, the top screen for their shows with non-stop DS trailers and videos on the bottom screen. I had a little handy notebook where I wrote everything down about the DS based on what I learned from TV, its features and specifications, the games that were coming in the first few months, every little detail that I could research. In the days after, I'd go use my local library's internet to do more research and write more stuff down. I remember phoning my dad and telling him about this crazy new handheld that I just had to have for the holiday and asked him if he saw it yet. Back then, my dad worked in Midtown New York City at Rockefeller Center, right across from what was then the Pokemon Center, later Nintendo World, nowadays Nintendo New York. Dad had a feeling that I would call him up about this new DS thingamajig, so I basically beat him to the punch. I shouldn't be so surprised since he's the reason why I took to gaming in the first place. He was quick to say that he would look into getting the DS for me, and all I had to do was prepare. More library trips to scour the web for more game info, watching reviews of launch day DS games on G4, even going as far as to craft a makeshift papercraft DS to pretend play some of those games I was looking forward to. Mario 64 DS, Metroid Prime Hunters, Spider-Man 2, Madden NFL, and so much more. I was obsessed. See, around this time of my life, I was actually living in another country. It was a bit harder to get video games due to high prices, not much supply, dealing with customs, you name it. My dad was my main gaming hookup whenever I came back to America for holidays from school. All I had to my name was a Fire Orange N64 and a buttload of games handed down, newly purchased, or borrowed from friends. Yes, it was 2004 and I was rocking with the Nintendo 64. Jamaica wasn't exactly in a gaming stone age back then, but you took what you could for your gaming leisure. Old consoles, cracked PC games, you name it. Growing up here actually exposed me to the wonders of emulation, but that's a story for another time. The DS was going to be the first time I get to be on the cusp of actual, honest-to-goodness modern gaming, and I was bragging extensively to my friends that I was going to get one, that I was going to be the first one in the whole entire country with one. While they knew I had the connections, my American accent got me branded as a foreigner for so long, they still teased that I was just all hype and no substance. Well, Christmas 2004 came. I flew back home to New York, and my dad came through. I got myself a titanium-colored Nintendo DS with Spider-Man 2, Madden NFL 2005, plus the pack-in game, Metroid Prime Hunter's First Hunt. I was set for the whole holiday, showing off the features to my siblings, goofing off in picture chat, reading all the system manuals like a dork, and of course, tons of game playing. That was until tragedy struck. You see, my nephews were visiting at the time and they were younger than me, so I was a bit protective over my system, but I let them play for a bit. No harm, no foul, right? Wrong. One of them accidentally spilled orange juice all over my system as it laid in its open case, and I could only watch in horror as the screen started to flicker and slowly deteriorate with liquid seeping into corrupt the internals. I had to begrudgingly call my dad and tell him what happened, and he was pretty disappointed. I mean, he fought off like soccer moms and all sorts of people to get it under the Christmas tree that year, but he took it back to get replaced. I flew back down to Jamaica, heartbroken, and back in school. No DS in hand, all that bragging exposed me as a fraud to my friends, who clowned on me for months on end, and I was back to using my crappy papercraft DS, imagining the moments where I had a DS right there in my hand. It was real until it wasn't. Thankfully, it wasn't long until my 12th birthday. My mom flew down to see the family, and properly stashed in one of her suitcases was a complete DS blowout. A brand new system, a brand new case, and multiple new games. My dad went above and beyond to hook me up, and I can only remember grabbing the DS, running outside to my friends, and happily confirming that I did too have a DS. There it was, live and in living color. I was practically inseparable from the damn thing. Chances are that if you saw dopey little Sylverstone, he would probably have his old silver DS case, or eventually a DS satchel bag, slung over the shoulder with their DS, or DSi, and all the games that they had. So yeah, the DS and I have been together for as long as I can remember, almost 20 years now, yeah? Can you believe that at one point, Nintendo thought DS could just coexist with the Game Boy Advance and the GameCube, becoming this mystical third pillar of support for them? Funny how that ended up working for them, right? The Nintendo DS went on to become a juggernaut in the portable gaming space, even as Sony's shiny new PlayStation Portable was around to be its foil. The Game Boy line slowly faded out, and it was all about the wonders of dual screens and touching. Touching is good, they said. Yeah, they got away with a lot back then. So, what's my plan for this brand new channel? It's to chronicle the DS games that I grew up with in my youth, but also an opportunity to really go back and dive into the system's extensive library for the very first time. I clearly didn't play everything available to me growing up, and the whole catalog of DS games is well over 3,000 titles strong. At the very least, I can see myself focusing mostly on North America. The whole library, though, it's a very tall order, but I won't say no to imports. I feel like the time has come to really show how much I loved this developer system, this dual-screened wonder, the platform that truly exposed me to modern gaming. My name is Sylverstone Khandr, and welcome to Third Pillar, your destination for all things Nintendo DS, games, applications, history, and so much more. I hope you stick around with me for this ride throughout the Touch generation.